At around 4 weeks old, Owen started to get quite irritable, and this lasted until he was 3 months of age when he was finally diagnosed. But initially, people were just putting it down to he had, colic or reflux, and he was just really upset, constantly crying or either asleep. At about 10 weeks, we noticed that he wasn't necessarily tracking or looking at objects like he should be for that age, and we further investigated that. So I was told that, I'm sure everything's okay, but let's just check to be sure. And yeah, one thing led to another, and we had an ultrasound on the brain which showed things were not quite normal, and then we were admitted to PMH for an MRI and an EEG. So yeah, at 3 months, Owen was diagnosed with a rare brain malformation called lissencephaly. Further genetic testing was done, and we found that Owen's missing part of a chromosome on his X chromosome, which has deleted 3 genes, one of them being the DCX gene, which has caused the lissencephaly. So lissencephaly means smooth brain. So a typical brain would have all the folds and grooves in it, where Owen's brain would look smooth like an egg. Being a first-time parent, it was absolutely awful. It's the last thing you want to happen. Of course, I wanted to know why he was so upset, but getting that type of diagnosis, it was heartbreaking. The first few months were definitely the hardest, but it has got better. And we've met some wonderful people and a lot of people that want to help Owen. And I guess now we're just doing everything we can to maximise his potential and get the best out of life. At 3 months when he was diagnosed, he was enrolled into the early intervention program at PMH, and he started physiotherapy, occupational therapy, speech and hydrotherapy. And I had also been told about Carson Street, so I came here and met with Shona, and Owen was only, 4 months old or something, so too little to start class, but, they had suggested some things that I could try at home with him just to get things started, and to bring him back at about, 8 or 9 months to see how he tolerated, the time in class. Obviously at that age he was still sleeping and feeding most of the day. So I did bring him to Carson Street at around 9 months, and we just participated in the parent-child classes in as much activity as we could before Owen got tired or restless. And now he's obviously tolerating the class in its full extent, being 17 months old now, and we come once a week, every Wednesday. Owen loves movement. He's very stimulated by movement. He's not the type of child that would just lay still on a mat. He gets quite frustrated if he's, in a position where he can't get moving. He also doesn't like to be horizontal. He likes to be vertical, so either in a standing frame or being assisted standing, somewhere where he's upright, he enjoys a lot more than just laying down. He likes reflective toys, toys that make a lot of sound. It's good to know that we can find things that he enjoys now, where before, I guess at the initial stage of diagnosis, you're unsure, because not your typical toys that are found at stores can be that appealing to children with delays. Obviously, when we found out about lissencephaly, we read about the, prognosis, and the literature doesn't give you much positive to think about, which we didn't really want to think about the negatives. We want to know what we can do to help. So through Owen participating in physio and hydro and conductive ed, his strength is definitely improving. His vision's improving. We've seen improvements all around. He's obviously nowhere near, the typical child of his age developmentally, but we can see improvements along the way. So that only makes you want to keep doing it and encouraging you to keep going. My advice to a new parent with a recently diagnosed child would be to accept all the help you can get, as hard as it is sometimes to accept help. Everyone there wants to help, and every little bit of therapy, whether it be 15 minutes, half an hour, whatever the child can tolerate, it all will help to futuring the child's potential.